Geopolitics creating the most challenging of environments, the opportunity for those looking after the trillions of pounds in UK pots to come together to share progress, insights and ideas at the Pensions UK Investment Conference was more important than ever.
This industry really matters because the work we do in rooms like this shapes the future of millions of people we'll never meet.
Appointed just over a year ago from the Pension Schemes Bill and Mansion House Accords to pooling and the Pensions Commission, it's been a busy 12 months for the Pensions Minister.
This is a time of profound change, but also profound opportunities for all of us. And I'm very, very glad to have the privilege of being involved in this great industry at a time when the consensus I mentioned earlier is moving from being something that gets talked about in halls like this to something that gets done.
Part of that call to action, continued government pressure for UK pensions to fuel UK growth, with the mandation issue hotly debated.
We think that the UK system has a lot of catching up to do to others around the world, the Aussies, the Canadians, for example. They've seen better returns for members through doing more private investment.
When investing in the UK, there are still a lot of obstacles to doing that. So there are many things that can be made easier for investors, and we do believe that that should happen.
An investable pipeline is what you're describing.
Yes, exactly.
I absolutely hear the arguments that there could and should be higher returns for people, that those defaults are not necessarily invested in the best assets and access to private markets. I would also like to see pension funds investing more in the UK. That would be good for the UK economy. But the way to achieve this isn't through government bringing a big stick and beating the pension funds to do it.
Meanwhile, with adequacy always high on the agenda, some believe that done right, local investment can encourage greater saver engagement.
Most people don't realise that their pension is invested. It's not just sitting in a bank somewhere. UK assets you can do that with. You can make them real to people, particularly infrastructure and tangible assets. People can get excited about the fact they own that school or they own that hospital or they own that wind farm.
Debating whether pension funds could or should be compelled to invest in certain asset classes or sectors, two former parliamentarians also shared their opposing views on environmental strategies.
It doesn't matter how big your short-term returns are on a pension if ultimately the world that you're going to inherit is one that is incredibly unstable.
Because you can have the biggest pot in the world, but you've got to retire into that world.
There is no retirement on a dead planet, ultimately, and so I think that ought to be concentrating minds.
It's in the nature of pension funds that they'll mix a variety of assets up in their portfolio, that some of them will be safer assets, which will be less risky. Others of them, in the equities market, perhaps a greater degree of risk. But that is ultimately a decision that I think that trustees should make on the basis of what they consider to be right for the members of their scheme, rather than feeling that they're under any moral pressure or legislative pressure to invest in a particular asset class.
And with so much at stake in a shifting landscape, what insights could expert economists, entrepreneurs and behavioural scientists offer?
What pensions need isn't further economic inducement. As I think the lesson of auto-enrolment shows, a really, really good psychological idea can 10x pension adoption, far more, I think, than obsessing over, whatever the tax position may be.
And that could be as simple as removing friction.
Genuinely, the best return in any business is what I call marketing done backwards, which is don't layer on extra positives, go and find the bottlenecks and the negatives and get rid of some of those.
Well, I think this industry has a huge capacity to address these long-term problems in a way that other industries don't. In fact, it's their remit. My fear is that it's easier to do what everybody else does and to play safe, but playing safe has never been so dangerous. So my hope is that this is why they came into the industry, because the challenge of long-term thinking is a tremendous creative intellectual challenge. And doing it well will just be a gigantic benefit to everybody on the planet.
Pensions UK continuing to provide the flagship forum for an industry responsible for the wealth and well-being of so many long-term savers.